Good afternoon to all of you. Just a minute. So good afternoon. Today we're going to start the fourth unit. We can discuss detailedly for another couple of weeks, right? So meanwhile, I want to tell one thing, something to conduct the seminar topic in fifth unit. Especially there are 6 to 7 topics given here. It is mandatory. Any student can come forward to take a seminar. Those are interested to take a seminar, there is no need to submit your third assignment. Moreover, I can give some marks and privilege in your internal examinations or internal marks, right? Either you can come forward, you come forward to take seminar, as all discuss with you and come with the topic, or otherwise I can choose the people, I can choose a student and a topic. You have to take the seminar on that day. So is your own wish. Please plan it accordingly, and your seminar can be, your seminar will be conducted on every Friday on our own class hour, right? Who is your class rep? Who's your class rep, or otherwise I will choose the student to collect the details, because only 25 students are online. Obviously, Vinu Rishi. So most of the time I have seen Vinu Rishi on online, but don't response by my right. There is no reply from Vinu Rishi. Vinu Rishi, how your name is parallelly in OD list as well as in a class? கிளாஸ்லயும் இருக்க, ஓடி லிஸ்ட்லயும் இருக்கு. எப்படி அது ஆன் பண்ணி வச்சுட்டு போயிட்டு ரெண்டு சிஸ்டர்ல ஆன் பண்ணிடுவியா? Vinu, you reply, otherwise I will put absent. Number 109. Vinu. So many times I have seen you are always on online, but no response. There is no response from your side. So you people are acting very smart, right? Just switch on the system and go anywhere. You go somewhere and even you take some work. So இங்க நாங்களாம் உங்க முட்டாள உங்க கிளாஸ் எடுக்கிறவன், right? Vinu Rishi, you are absent. இல்லைன்னா சொல்லிடுமா. Samyukta.
Yes, sir.
List collect பண்ணுங்க. You just collect a list from your friends who are all interested to take a seminar for the given topic.
Okay, sir.
Topic is given. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 topic is given. Probably we need a 9 students want to take a seminar. If more students are interested to seminar, no problem. You come forward. I will give you some topic, general topic, right?
Okay, sir.
You please submit this on or before Wednesday, coming Wednesday, the topic.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So உங்கள் கிளாஸில் மட்டும்தான், நாட் இன் A section, only B section. யார் யாரும் என்னென்ன டாபிக் கொடுங்க, I will tell you the date. So probably all the Friday your hour is the last hour, right? The last hour you have to take a seminar. Within 2 Friday or 3 Friday we can complete the entire seminar topic, right? Okay. So Vinu Rishi இதை கன்வே பண்ணுங்க, எனக்கு கால் பண்ண சொல்லுங்க. So today let us discuss about message authentication and integrities, right? What is the message authentication? What is message authentication? What the message authentications will do during the transmission of data from end to end in the end-to-end entity. The message authentication, it is a mechanism or service. It is used to verify the integrity of the message. What do you call the integrity of message? If the message authentication, these services will assure that the data are received exactly as sent by the sender. Right? That is, after sending the data by the sender, it is identity of sender is whether valid or not, whether the information came from the correct center or not. This is what the message authentication. It is a mechanism. This is a mechanism provided, given by the both the sender as well receiver. So this is what message authentication. So by the way of the authentication, you can provide the integrity of message transmission of message on the both end. So in this topic, we are going to discuss what are the various message authentication and how do you provide the integrity of your message, right? And the symmetric encryption also provide authentication. How do you share your data along with the key? By the way, they can provide authentication as well as confidentiality. And another things we are going to discuss. So before that, these are the topics going to be discussed in this unit. What are the authentication requirements? What are the functions of the authentications? What is MAC? What do you call hash functions? Security of hash, SHA, right? And digital signatures, some more entity authentications. How do you provide the entity authentication at the level of the applications? Also authentication application with the help of the Kerberos and advanced method X.509. We are going to discuss in another couple of weeks by this all the topic in detail we are going to study. So these are the, as I said, the unit 4 have a 4 part. This is the first part. The table of content of the first part, we are going to discuss the message authentication requirements, message authentication functions, and MAC, that is MAC. MAC means not media access control, where the meaning is different, message authentication code. And how do you provide a security? What are the security threats on the MAC? And finally, we are going to discuss the application of the MAC. This is the only topic for the first part. However, there are many topics there. We can see in one by one for forthcoming classes, right? Okay, as I said, message authentication is a mechanism to verify the integrity of message, right? The one of the most, authentication, digital signature is a most fascinating and complex area of cryptography, since the message should be authenticated by the digital signature, right? So before that, we can see what are the basic requirements of the provided message authentication in the cryptography. First one is, this is what the context basis communication across the network, right? You just understand. These are the requirements is very important. There are 8 points given. First one is disclosure. Disclosure means you can release of the message content to any person, or it can continue to process, not possessing the appropriate cryptographic key. That means you cannot release message. If you release the message without a proper cryptographic key, you cannot provide authentication. That means if you want to provide authentication of the transmission of the message, you should use appropriate cryptographic key. This is the first point. This is what disclosure. So without a key, you cannot maintain the authentication. You cannot provide the authentication, not maintain. You cannot provide the authentication. And second requirement is traffic analysis. Until unless you discover the pattern of traffic between the parties, you cannot provide the authentication. For example, to discover the pattern about what time and what input is given between the parties. So the traffic analysis is very, very must to provide in order to provide authentication in the transmission of information over the insecure media. Third one is masquerade. So you inserting message into network from the problem sources. You must know what are the masquerade threat is there in the network from the problem sources. Masquerade is very important, without the fraudulent sources, we cannot. Why you are go for authentication? Because there are a lot of threats from the fraudulent sources. So masquerade is another important requirement. Fourth one is a content modification. Fourth one is content and sequence. Both are different, not the same. And context basis different. Both are a different one. So content modification means you changes of the content of messages, including if insert, deletion, even you have add, transposition or any modifications. This is what the content modification, right? And sequence means any modification and sequence basis. For example, you have the 5 block of data. If any changes on the sequences and transmission between the parties, like in terms of insert, deletion, reordering, also affect the authentication of the transmission. And next one is timing modifications. This is talk about the delay and replay of the messages, right? And next one is source and destination reputation. So reputation means you are denial of transmission of message by the source. Once the source are releasing some message, after some point of time, they can denial that I am not sending the information, right? By the way, we cannot provide authentication. And similarly for destination reputations, though after receiving the information by the destination, they cannot denial of the receipt. Once if you deny the receipt, you cannot provide authentication. So these are the 8 points very important of the message authentication requirements. Please be understand. This may be asked in your they may be asking in your university examination. Part B like all right. Okay. Message authentication functions. So as a procedure to verify the received messages come from the so alleged sources and have not been altered. By the way, you are attaching some digital signature, you can verify the sequencing at timing basis by the way of using digital signature, because the digital signature is part of the authentication function, a technique that also includes the message to counter the reputation by the source, counter reputations by the source, so that you can finding out where the problem is actually happened by the way of the digital signature. So any source will use the authentication method along with the digital signature. So they can provide the authentication of the particular message transmitted to the other end, right? Okay, message authentication function, as I said, any message authentication or digital signature technique or mechanism has two level of the functionality. One is at the lower level, another one is at the upper level. So any message authentication, or you try to provide a digital signature, you have a two level of the functionality is needed. One is at the lower level, another one is at the higher level. One is called authenticator. Who will provide authentication is called authenticator, right? That means a value to be used to authenticate the message. Who will take a responsibility to provide authentication? That person is called as an authenticator. A second one is primitive. Primitive is a high level authentication. So you can say both low level, high level is a low level protocol, high level protocol for providing the message authentication over the unsecured transmission media. Where when you talk about the primitive, it is a high level, as I said, is a high level authentication protocol that will enable a receiver to verify the authenticity of the message. Actually, the authenticator will provide authentication of their own message to transmit over the insecure media, whereas for high level authentication protocol will enable the receiver to to verify the authenticity of the messages. One person, I am only the transmitter data, okay, but others want to be verified. Others want to be verified whether this information came from the intended source, not from the any fraudulent source, right? This is what two level. So based on that, the low level, high level protocol, the authenticator may be grouped into three classes. Please note, authenticator may grouped in three classes in the message authentication function. One is called hash. One is called hash, that is hash function. Second one is message encryption. Third one is MAC, that is message authentication code. So what do you mean? What do you call hash? Hash function means it is a function that map a message of any length into fixed length, and this is will serve as an authenticator, just like it is a short code. It is a fixed length code or value, then which is serve as a authenticator. Are you able to understand? For example, one-time password. When you like to transmit the data through the Bluetooth, you first authenticate. I am like to transmit the data to you, or many, right? So by that end, they will map the code. Once the code will be verified, only both the system will be get connected. Both the phone will be get connected. So later you can transmit the n number of data to other end. This is what hash function. That is like a password, one-time password. It's short value, a short code. This is what a hash function. Okay, what is message encryption? You heard about the word message encryption from the first unit onwards. It is encryption of message. What do you call it? Is cybertext. When the plain text can be encrypted, that is called cybertext, where the cybertext of the entire message serves as its authenticator. There is no separate code. You are converting message, you are transforming message, cybertext of entire message serves as an authenticator. And third one, whereas in the message encryption, there are two kind of encryption is there. One is symmetric method, another one is a public, like a first and second unit. I will explain clearly in the next slides. A third one is, it is a message authentication code. It is an algorithm, right? It is an algorithm that need a use of secret key so that the Mac can generate the variable length message into fixed length message and serve as a input along with the message in order to verify the code at the other end. This is what message authentication code. Or we can define the function of the message along with the secret key that produces the fixed length value that serves as authentication. What is the main difference from hash to a message authentication code? In the hash, there is no key. There is no keys involved to generate the value. Whereas in third one, in Mac, is a message, the variable length message along with secret key that produces a fixed length value, where the value, fixed length value has acted as a authenticator to provide authentication and to verify the authentication at the other end. So this is the main three group of classes will be used in the message authentication function. Please note down 2 marks level as function, message encryption, message authentication code. So next we can discuss the message encryption. So message encryption, the cybertext of the entire message is served as the authenticator. Right? And the message encryption by itself can provide a measure of the authentication. So the encrypted message itself can provide a measure of the authentication. There is no need of any special code. The message, encrypted message itself can act as an authenticator to provide authentication of the transmitter's information. So basically there are two types. One is semantic type, another one is a asemantic, that is public key encryptions. So when you see the semantic encryption, you just look at the encryption diagram. It's a similar diagram. Both sides, the source and destination is there. It's a message content, right? And E means encryption, D means decryption, E means the shared key. It's a single and shared key, not a public key. Because we try to study only the semantic encryption, only single key, same key, or companion key. E means encryption. The encryption can take place along with the key with the message. Here the message, like source A, let us assume it is a party A and the destination is a party B. Here the party A transmitted the information to B and it is encrypted with the key, that is secret key, it is a shared key. That means the key value can be shared on the both the parties before any communication will take place, right? So by the way, you can provide the authentication as well as confidentiality. Please note down. If the key is shared on both the parties and encrypted and decrypted with the help of the key, by the way, it can provide the authentication as well as a confidentiality. எப்படிப்பா confidentiality கிடைக்கும்? Because the key will be only shared by the both parties. But of course, cryptanalysis will be happen. That is different. But no other parties cannot, until and unless that any third party knows the key, the confidentiality will be maintained. Suppose I am taking classes, you are listening classes. If someone from third year or some HOD will enter the class, we don't maintain the confidentiality, right? That means what? எப்போ என்டர் ஆவாங்க? நம்மளோட லிங்க் தெரிஞ்சா மட்டும்தான், நம்மளோட கீ தெரிஞ்சா மட்டும்தான், right? So until unless no one understand, no one share the key, see, right? Then confidentiality will be maintained. And at the other end, the party B, that is destination, assured that the message came from the party A because the secret key is used by the both party so that it can provide the authentication. And the key போட்டால் தான் decryption ஆகும். That means what? The key will be shared by the both party. So by the way, you can provide the authentication as well as confidentiality if the companion key will be shared at the both end, right? And second, public key encryptions. So in the public key encryption, it can provide confidentiality but not authentication. Why? I will explain. Here, party A, party B, like semantic encryption. Here, party A uses the public key of the party B and then encrypted, right? I mean, it uses the public key of the party B. As you know, the public key can publicly available, right? UB means it is a public key of the party B. So the message, the party A can encrypt the message with the help of public key of the party B. Then it is transmitted over the media. At the receiver sides, it can decrypt the message with their own private key of the party B. So the message can be encrypted by public key. That means the public key is publicly available. Anybody can access the key. So that there is no authentication. Anybody can claim that I am transmitting the data, because anybody can access the key, public key, they can encrypt and transmit. But you can provide a confidentiality by the way of decrypt the message by only the private key of the party B. You have to understand? Public key of the party B can be encrypted by the party A and transmitted over the media. At the other end, it can be decrypted by private key of the party B in order to maintain the confidentiality. But There is no sure the authentication can provide by the party A. Suppose if you want to provide authentication, what modification we have to do? This is a public key encryption model 2, in which party A will encrypt the message of with the help of private key of the party A, private key of the party A, right? And then transmitter at the other end, at the receiver will use a public key of the party A. So private key use பண்ணும்போது யாருக்கு தெரியும், there is no sharing of key. The sharing of key only in the semantic encryption. But whereas in public key, the key will be generated and only used for their own transmission at their own sites, right? Therefore, the private key can generated and used to encrypt the message at one end, then transmit over the media at other end. The party B will use a public key of the party A to decrypt the message. So by the way, they can provide authentication at the transmission side, but there is no confidentiality because the public key of the A can be publicly available. Anybody can access the key and decrypt the message. For example, any service provider, for example, Airtel, BSNL, they will transmit the data. Anybody can receive it, right? We're all having a public key of the party A. So this is what the second model or second method. Third method. So by third method, we can provide confidentiality authentication along with the signature, digital signature. So what modification we have to make here? First, party A will encrypt a message of M with the private key of the party A. Then again it is encrypted, second time encrypted, public key of the party B. Then it is transmitted over the media. At the other end, first it is decrypted by private key of the party B. Then again decrypted. Every time it is encrypted, twice the times encrypted, decrypted at both the end. First, it is decrypted by the private key of the party B. Then it is decrypted by the public key of the party A. So by the private key of the party A at party 1, A, they can provide the authentication along with the signature, digital signature. So in the digital signature provide the all the information about the source, party A as well as party B, right? And at the other end, they can provide a confidentiality by decrypt the message by the private key of the party B. This is the third model. But one drawback in this method, it will take more time to provide the security comparatively other methods, because it's twice the times of encryption and decryptions. So probably the speed also reduces rather than the semantic methods, right? And next one is message authentication code. Third one is a third functions. It is a technique. Assume that the two communicating parties like A and B, party A and party B, share the common secret key. Common secret key when A has a message to send to B. That means it can calculate it can calculate the code, what you call MAC, and it is transmitted along with the message. At the receiver side, it can generate the MAC, and its MAC is compared with the received MAC. If both are matches, then the receiver can decide that message has not been altered, right? Also assume that the message from the corresponding intended sender. So MAC, if the MAC, both the MAC are matches, receiver can assure that message has not been altered. Message எங்கேயுமே alter பண்ணல, யாருமே என்ன பண்ணல, தேர்ட் பார்டர்லைன் சோர்சஸ் வந்து ரெக்கார்ட், ஐ மீன் இந்த டேட்டாவை கேப்சர் பண்ணலை, ரைட். அதே மாதிரி அது கரெஸ்பாண்டாக அந்த சென்டர்லேருந்து தான் வந்திருக்குன்னு கண்டுபிடிச்சிருவாங்க, ரைட். ஆல்சோ யூ கேன் இன்க்ளூட் தி சம் சீக்வன்ஸ் நம்பர், ஸோ த அட்டாக்கர் cannot successfully alter the sequence number. This is what the message authentication code. So the message authentication code means they can create their own code along with some shared key. So you can express by MAC with MAC function C with K and M. Or M is input message, C is a MAC functions, right? K means shared secret key, MAC means message authentication code. So in this message authentication code, how to provide a authentications, message authentications, right? So here the code will be generated, I mean MAC will be generated, and that code will be generated and combined for the encryption and then transmit the other end. Again, this code will be, the code will be encrypted with the key, shared key, and combined to do the encryption. And other end, first it is decrypted the code and compare the code with already developed the code by the party B. If the code is matches, then the receiver assume that the received message is original message from the intended source, right? So it can provide authentication but not the confidentiality. It provide the authentication but not the confidentiality. How do you provide the confidentiality? Can be provided by performing the message encryption either after or before the MAC algorithm. அப்படி இருந்தால் தான் நம்மளால என்ன பண்ண முடியும், confidentiality கொடுக்க முடியும். So this is the model like a previous one. This is the message authentication code model 2. Message authentication confidentiality. This is the authentication tied to plain text. I mean plain text. Here first the code is generated with K1 and combined and again encrypted with another key K2, then transmitted at the other end. So it can provide the confidentiality and authentications, right? At the other end, first decrypted with K2, then generate a key and key will be compared with new Q, I mean K1, key K1. So by the way, they can provide a message authentication and confidentiality. So this is a message authentication confidentiality. Authentication tied to cybertext. இது ரெண்டுக்குள்ள டிஃபரன்ஸ் என்னன்னா, this is authentication tied to plain text. இங்க authentication code along with plain text, right? இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா once the message is encrypted, it become a cybertext, then the code will be generated with K1. That is what the message authentication with cybertext. Here the authentication by the plain text. These are ரெண்டுக்குள்ள difference, but both will provide the authentication and confidentiality. And requirement security. The security of the MAC is commutation resistance, highly commutation resistant. That means commutation infeasible to compute any text of the pair or any new input of the value if at all x is not equal to xi. And the level of effort of brute force attack on MAC algorithm can be with the help of the key length as well as number of the MAC bits. Also the cryptanalysis both linear and differential is possible, and the cryptanalysis effort is greater than or equal to the brute force effort, right? Last is applications. The same message can be broadcasted to any number of n number of destinations by creating MAC, right? And authentication of the any computer program in the plain text is an attack services. So by the way, you can provide authentication, and so that your message can be your process cannot be claimed by anyone. And another scenario, exchange of in which one side has a heavy load cannot be afford the time to decrypt all incoming messages. So this is what the main application of Mac. Mac is mainly used in the I mean நம்ம வாட்ஸ்அப்பில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா வாட்ஸ்அப்பில் யூஸ் பண்ணுறோம், ஃபேஸ்புக்கில் யூஸ் பண்ணுறோம், right? All the social media will use a Mac to secure the data, to provide the security and authentications, right? And the next topic, இதெல்லாம் கிடையாது உன் சிலபஸில். நெக்ஸ்ட் டாபிக் we can see the என்ன டாபிக் இருக்கு, function over, hash over, security of hash over Mac, right? ஸ்டாப் பார்க்கலாம் நாளைக்கு. டிஜிட்டல் சிக்னேச்சர் ஆத்தென்டிகேஷன் ப்ரோட்டோகால்ஸ் எல்லாம் நாளைக்கு பார்க்கலாம். இப்போ எனி டவுட்? அப்படியே இருங்க, அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் எடுத்துடுறேன். Number 54. Nine 63 35 93. Anybody OD on today?
$98, $78, sir.
Nama?
98 and 78, sir.
74. 74, sir.
Sridevi. Okay. Samyukta, நாளைக்கு லிஸ்ட் கொடுத்துருங்க.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, you can wind up.